Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 and our chats with Emily, as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson contained within the Johnson edition. We turned out a poem 86 of the 1,775 poems. This one, The South Winds Jostle Them. I find this a fascinating poem. This was a poem that Emily often included when she would send flowers as a gift. Now, as we have said in earlier lectures, Emily is a great gift giver. She sees within her letter writing the very notion that she is trying to give something of herself. You'll remember that she will even say it, "This is my letter to the world that never wrote to me." I'm always trying to give something away of myself. I'm not always being accepted. So there's always some of that standing, and we just finished with poem 85, where some of those same sentiments of maybe a possible rejection have been at play. Now our assumption, speaking of the previous lecture 85, is that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily, our playlist. I'm hopeful that you've been introduced to our introductory set of comments as well as the preceding 85 poems. As I say, we just finished with They Have Not Chosen Me. And when you come to this poem, after having read 85 other poems of Emily's already, you start to get the sense that Emily longs for an understanding of who and what she is and what she represents of herself in her poetry. Now this poem, when published in 1891, actually had the title With Flowers, for reasons that we've already explained. The poem was sent to Thomas Higginson, who once complained actually about Emily's fiery, quote-unquote, fiery mist that she surrounds herself with. In other words, it's difficult to understand a lot of what it is that she maybe shared with Higginson. On the 25th of April in 1862, she sent this poem, and maybe she was wanting him to think about her poetry as being a bouquet of flowers. It's possible. Sewell, the great biographer, will say that it makes some sense that that Higginson might think about her poetry as being very organic. Sewell says it this way, quote, "Things of nature that had come with no practice at all" is the best way to describe the poems that you know he would be referencing, or Higginson would be reading. That is to say, they're just so beautifully organic, and we've kind of pointed this out over and over again as we've come to these poems. Let's turn now to poem 86 and just enjoy our reading of it. South winds jostle them, bumblebees come, hover, hesitate, drink, and are gone. Butterflies pause on their passage, cashmere, I, softly plucking, present them here. Now, I love that we will begin with the word jostle. When we get to poem 1000 or 1100, 100, it will be the line, "Too jostled were our souls to speak." This idea of being disrupted or jostled in some way. Notice we're back to bumblebees again. Notice the trinities of hover, hesitate, drink, right? And then are gone. She's speaking here about the ideas presented in her poetry. Butterflies pause. Poem 137 will suggest that Emily already knew something about the fact that butterflies can travel long distances, and so you've got that sense of the long distance that's being traveled. Butterflies pause on their passage, cashmere. You'll remember cashmere from poem 64, that symbol of my study group. My Emily study group likes to point out cashmere, the symbol of wealth and you know, some kind of stateliness, right? Maybe we might even say the way one would think about another person, cashmere. And then I with the word softly. And this takes us again back to poem 441, "Judge tenderly of me, I, softly plucking." In other words, I have selected these poems specifically for you, but notice she will use the word present them here. I love the word present because, of course, it also is our word present, as in I'm giving you a present, right? And so I think at 2a, the point here is that great art has to travel great distances to arrive at the recipient, and if at all, will be hopefully accepted, appreciated. And it's clear in so many of these poems that Emily just longs for somebody to just understand what it is that she is providing, the present that she is giving, much like a butterfly that has to fly great distances and then finally arrives to be marveled at. At 2b, I love the word choice of jostle and cashmere. At 3a, We mentioned in the previous lecture Milton's Sonnet 7, and How Soon Hath Time, the longing for acceptance, the longing for doing something that is perceived as worthy. I think very much that stands behind what we're seeing here in this poem as well. Finally, at 3b, there was a time when you presented your gift, whatever that was, and you really did hope that it would be accepted for what it was. I'm hopeful that Emily's poetry is challenging you. Thank you.